Your brand is so prevalent around the world, and part of that is your legacy of being a Hilton. What did you learn about brand building from your great-grandfather, Conrad Hilton, who founded Hilton Hotels, and then his son, your grandfather, who helped build that empire? What about the brand building?
Well, my family really instilled a hard work ethic in myself, and also just about hospitality in the hotel business and treating everyone always with kindness. And it's just, business is something that really runs in my blood. And also, I always wanted to build something on my own. I didn't want to be known as the Hilton Hotel granddaughter. I wanted to be known as Paris. And something that my grandfather always used to say to me is, Paris, it's so funny, I used to be known as Baron Hilton, and now I'm known as Paris Hilton's grandpa. So that always made me really proud to hear. And I've always wanted to really prove myself as well.
So let's talk a little bit about that proving yourself. You're very driven. I listened to you narrate your audiobook, which I think is over 9 hours, and you talk about this drive first to get to $100 million and then to get to $1 billion, and to really make sure you weren't beholden to your family. Where did that drive come from?
I think it really stems back to just being a teenager, and I was sent to these places called emotional growth boarding schools because I lived in Los Angeles before, and I lived a very sheltered life. Like, I wasn't allowed to go out, I wasn't allowed to go on dates. My parents were extremely strict, and then I moved to New York City, and it was this whole new world. I was sneaking out, getting bad grades, and then I got sent away to this boarding school, and my parents had no idea just how horrible these places were. And when I was in there, I just promised myself that I'm gonna work so hard and become so successful that one day no one will ever be able to control me or tell me what to do. And I think that's something that really gave me that drive. And I always thought that, I don't know, that success would just make me happy and never have to depend on anyone but myself.
And it's such a profound thing to hear you talk about that experience in your documentary, in your book, and it's very personal. What made you decide to talk about that traumatic experience, which is so different from your brand, which is all about, yes, authenticity, but also about happiness and love and joy? Why did you go there?
Well, the original premise of my documentary was, I just felt that for so long, no matter what I did in life, no matter how many things I'd accomplished, I just felt that I was always underestimated. And I really wanted to have a film and just show all of the incredible things that I had done in my career. And then within, it was about 6 months into shooting, and I became extremely close with the director, and I started to really trust her. And I just opened up to her about the schools that I went to. But I said, this is something when I got out of there, I promised myself I would never tell anyone about this because I didn't want this to be my story. And I just didn't even want to think about it because it was just too painful. And then she came to me the next day and said, Paris, I really think that you should open up about this because now that this has boomed into a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, they're making $28 billion a year. They've opened up thousands of these schools. There's over 150 to 200,000 children from the foster care system, from juvenile justice, children who are refugees, children from special education who are all being sent to these schools. And so many children are being abused and dying in these places, and nobody has talked about this. She's like, I really think that you have the power in your voice to really make a difference. And that's when I told my story, and it was so scary because the whole world had known me from the simple life and this character that I built. And I think even that character I built was a trauma response to what I went through. Just kind of, sorry, with the ADD, I think of like 50 things at once. But it made me, it just made me realize that I could use my voice to help make a difference for so many children. And now today we just passed our 12th state law to protect children. And it's just been, I'm so grateful to Alexander Dean, the director, for having me open up to her, because it's been so life-changing to finally, drop that veil of that character and show people my true self, and to really turn my pain into a purpose. And now I just passed my bill in December, and the Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act that you mentioned before, and that's going to protect 13 million children. So turning my pain into a purpose has been the most healing experience of my life.